got way too focused on talking score. Even though Star Wars: The Old Republic is essentially it's Star Wars World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
That really is what it is, and anyone who disputes that does not really understand video games.
I believe that there's like a guy called Chaos D1 who actually makes that clear. They completely ripped off World of Warcraft, but desperately tried rearrange the UI to make it opposite, so that
Instead
it's
of
not World of
at the
Warcraft.
top, it was on the bottom.
Yeah,
Shit like that. But it
precisely.
becomes
Instead of on the
very...
left, it's on the right, and so on.
It became very obvious to me because there was a period where I played a private server of World of Warcraft because I wasn't about to pay for it. And so I messed around as a hunter for a while, and then Q years later, when Store comes out, I play that, and I go, holy shit, this is Star Wars World of Warcraft. Because the similarities just never fucking end. The way they classify enemies, the way they classify zones, the way they deal out equipment, the way they just balance the game, the way everything is. The only major thing that separates them at this point is the nice cutscenes that they stole from the Secret World.
Was that stolen from the secret world, or was KOTOR before that?
Actually, I think we looked it up, and they were in development at the same time or something like that. I don't remember. Before we start the episode, I kind of want to know this.
Yeah, I think they might just wanted to have like the continuation from the KOTOR series, like the cutscenes and the dialogue.
'Cause Tor was 2011. Oh no, I was Legends the... No, I think Legends is the re-release. Hold on.
Knights of the Old Republic, 2003.
Was
At
when
least
they
that's
started development?
No, that's when they released it.
That's the first game. That's the single player game.
Yes. And that's what I meant. That they're basically continuing from the first and second game, the style of play.
Well, yeah, because I'm looking at the at Secret World, and it came out later, and so they were in development at the same time, so they probably knew about each other. But here's the thing: is while the Secret World has cutscenes, something I very quickly noticed playing the Secret World recently is that you walk up to a character and they jabber on about fucking nothing, and then you walk away as if they gave you a mission. I'm serious. Like, and this is almost every single character. And the reason for this is because technically almost no one knows what's actually going on except for you and the people you work with. So as far as everyone else knows, you're some random person that they're spilling their life story to. At least in the Old Republic, they're trying. They look at you and go, yes, Padawan, I have this problem and you should help me, and I have this deep story reason for needing this. Instead of, I'm the homeless person down the street, the dead man watch me every night. The dead man watch me every night. New quest: kill the dead man. And I have just spoiled every single mission of the secret world to you. How are you gonna feel? How are you gonna handle that?
Normally, I guess.
Normally, with a side of butter. All right, now we're actually starting the episode. Welcome to Depths of Gaming, episode 23. And we have all sorts of semi-controversial things to talk about. All of them include squatting.
Mm-hmm.
So first we're going to talk about Foxhole. Now, they did a few development streams recently talking about some new features they're bringing in. They announced they're going to add bayonets, so you're going to be able to stab people now.
Yay, stabbing!
That'll be interesting, because there are actually a lot of times where you're up next to a guy and you're doing this awkward "I can't shoot you" dance.
I see.
Because of how aiming works in the game, it's really difficult to get guys right next to you. So being able to just go, that'll help.
Yep.
They also announced 140 player servers and a map rework.
Ooh, that's a lot. I'm just. It fell into my head because we were playing Star Wars KOTOR, the Old Republic, and I play on the Sith side of things, and the way the game actually presents the story is that basically, if you want to go anywhere with your dark side,
did you forget what game we were talking about?
I know. Just give me a second. It's you because you will be. I'm in the mindset of being a puppy and kitten killing baby, feeding baby to dogs kind of villain. And the moment you introduced bayonets, I basically gave.
I got interested in this game.
I reeled back to my character roleplay and began to think, oh yes, stabbing people is awesome! Let's make them bleed!
This'll increase our combat potential.
Yes.
Oh, I agree.
I just wanted to be evil with bayonets.
Well, absolutely. I've taken a semi-hiatus from Foxhole, but I'm going to jump back into it pretty quick here. Because it, as amazing as it is, there are a couple features that you're kind of asking for. Like, I can't wait until you can like tag yourself as logistics or something, so that you don't have to join a server and then do this boring dance of typing, okay, I'm here, who's what, where's what, everything. Every player shouldn't have to join the server and then get a status update. Because then
I guess,
people jump in.
The quality of life stuff you want.
Yeah, I want quality of life stuff. Because then people jump in and are like, you're supposed to communicate. This game's about teamwork. And like, hey, dumb shit. That's what I'm trying to do. Because, I mean, that's why I have all of the mods on their official Discord blocked. Because they never say anything you haven't already heard a million times from any other 12-year-old mod. Because they basically just sit there hunched at their computer staring forward going, I can't wait to type something to make this guy do something because I have a paratrip. Like, oh wow.
Or those mods are not actually mods but are bots.
They wait are very depressingly shattered bots.
Yeah, it might be that the bots are listening on.
I've never seen a bot with its soul shattered before. Let's see here. And so the thing about Foxhole is there are people that join it that, of course, are nice people and want to help their army.
Mm-hmm.
Then there are the idiots that join the game and they want to waste resources, they want to run into their own team, they want to grief. And so there are YouTubers that got famous basically only doing that. Their only claim to fame is that people want to punch them in the face.
Oh yeah. What's the number one YouTuber now?
I don't fucking know. I don't pay attention. But so this guy Rhino Crunch bought this game recently so that he could make YouTube revenue off of being a moron, and he got banned instantly.
Mm-hmm.
He got banned after he made like a video, and the only like comment that he himself put on the comment section was, "Oh yeah, enjoy my toxic intro." And of course, I never heard his intro because I jump into the middle of videos of YouTubers that I know are idiots. So I never heard his intro, and his impression of it was Rhino Crunch, and I'm like, wow, okay. You have very little self-respect. Like, if your one defense mechanism is to parade around a really annoying blurb, then, well, whatever, dude. So they booted this guy, they banned him. Because I watched the highlights of this guy's video. He was like stalking sulfur miners and taking their shit, and of course it takes 2 hours for that to spawn, by the way. So it's the most in-demand resource in the game. Yet, every time, there's always some douchebag who mines all the sulfur he can, puts it in a truck, locks the truck, and then logs out. So, we can't get the sulfur, but he's holding onto it because he thinks because he gathered it, it's his.
This kind of blows my mind, because why would you ever do that? Don't you want your guys to win?
I don't understand it. Now, it would make sense if they're in a squad and they make tanks, and so they have like a tank clan that they always do this, and they go, Don't worry about this. We're stockpiling the sulfur. We're going to help you with tanks. Don't worry. If they went out and said that, I'd go, okay, cool. Or if they're artillery battalion, what say you? Anything that uses sulfur. But these are guys that are like singular dudes that they drop off BMATs to outposts so that people commend them when they see this guy dropped off 600 points worth of stuff when he actually didn't do anything. And the state of the game needs these quality of life updates. They just do. Because it's too easy to pretend like you're helping your army when you're not.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm not asking for an auto ban system. I'm not asking for anything like that. I just want the ability to look at a player's statistics and go, okay, this guy is dropping shit off. What did he drop off? He drops off ammo. Good logistics officer, giving him my command points.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. That's kind of
makes sense.
My opinion on that.
So you, instead of punishing bad players, you want to encourage and promote good players.
Yes.
Makes sense.
Yes. Instead of because here's the thing: is I was in a special education classroom. So the discussion of why are we all getting punished for one guy was always the daily discussion, because someone would freak out and everyone gets punished. And we go, wait, you're just incentivizing us to A, bully this kid, and B, just lie to you. Because if we just lie to you, you won't know that there's punishing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, that just makes her go, but you're supposed to be honest kids.
But you're incentivized not to be honest.
But you're
discouraging it.
You're literally teaching us to be bad people.
Fuck's sake. In order to become a teacher, you have to go to a special class, and I would assume that they would teach you something like that.
Well, here's the trick that they never teach you is for special education kids, you don't actually need the full degrees as teaching normal children.
Mm-hmm.
They waive a handful of the requirements because only one person that was in my special education classroom was actually a teacher. Everyone else was a student aide. So they were like 18, they were 20, they were my age, but they just came out of actual school. So...
So you might think that the knowledge is fresh in their brains.
So they act like teachers, but physically they're my age and just as stupid as I am.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a reason why I for the longest time despised teachers, because I thought that was the case for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that universally they let any retard teach, legitimately. And that's why I avoided college for years.
Yeah, I have bad experience with teachers as well. I was bullied at school, and when I came running, crying to the teacher, basically to the head teacher of my class, and said, "This guy is bullying me. Please stop him." You know what her response was, right?
Of course, don't tattletale.
No, she said, "Why are you crying? You're just provoking him."
Yeah, it's bullshit like that.
That sentence completely left me speechless, because I am being tortured by this little by this devil, basically someone who I see as an enemy who's trying to make my life into hell.
Right.
And she is like, "Oh, it's your fault."
Yeah, in general, teachers have a victim blame approach. And that victim blame approach, I'm not sure if it comes from them. I'm not sure if it just comes from how they're taught to teach. But this is just something I've noticed. It's generally not their problem, so they punish whoever makes a problem rather than actually solve a problem.
I think they are just jaded. They don't want to teach. But it's the only income that they can have. So instead of being good people, they just go to school just to do their job and then go back home.
American teachers get paid bi-monthly, and they get paid the lowest out of almost any profession. So
yeah,
part of it is they feel like it's not their problem, so they just don't have to care.
However, not only that, even though the teacher is the least paid position in US, the teachers' union is a fucking cartel that racks up the dough from the government.
Yeah, they collect a bunch of legal money and government money, and they just keep it at the top for them. That's why I have literally seen entire buildings full of people whose job it is to just file and operate school paperwork.
Yeah,
and the knowledge that these people exist just makes me cry.
Not only that, teachers' union actively prevents competition between schools. In order, because they know that as soon as they introduce competition, the quality of education is going to go up, right? Because you're going to take your kids to the best performing school, right? However, the problem with that is the fact that then the cartels cannot, the teachers' union cartels are not, will not be capable of controlling that.
So, speaking of cartels and price fixing, Games Workshop's in the news.
Segway!
So...
Yeah.
So, that might seem harsh, but it's fucking accurate. Because the thing about Games Workshop is that they're being sued for monopolization practices that are illegal in America.
Yeah, I've actually spent a entire day today on listening to streams that explain this legally, and I've to those who are interested, I'm sending you to Leonard French, which is who's a copyright attorney, but he had today a wonderful stream on that subject. He's basically,
is that his porn name?
And no, that's his real name.
Long Hard French?
No, Leonard.
Oh! Continue.
You fucking dick. Anyway, he explained that he's reading the actual legal papers, so we know what are the accusations against Games Workshop. One is the pumping and dumping scheme.
I love YouTube lawyers.
Yes. Pumping and dumping scheme is that Games Workshop is going to push lines of products into the resellers, into the shops, and then will immediately discontinue the line.
Which they've done.
Yes. Another thing that they will do, they will go to a freshly renewed store, and then they will say this store, which they renewed in order to the specifications of Game Workshop, and then Game Workshop is going to change the specifications that they need, and then they will break the contract with that shop.
Which, by the way, is a tactic that Americans have been using against, like, say, abortion clinics. Is they'll go in, they'll measure it, and they'll go, this isn't to specifications. They'll fix it, and they come back and they'll say, this isn't the specifications. And they'll go, wait a second, we just changed it. And they go, oh, well, a new resolution just passed. You have to change it again.
Yeah, there's also another one. The Games Workshop was created its own internet store, and then when other stores released their own internet version of the store, they said you are not permitted to have a shopping cart store on the internet because we have one.
Yep, I remember this specifically. There was a day where just all of a sudden you would be looking around and you go, wait, why is all the Games Workshop pulled off of every major retailing site? And it was explained to me that yes, they talked to every single one of their stores and went, hey, you're not allowed to have a cart marketplace. And so for the longest time, you had to actually call the store for them to list off what they have. Or you'd have to email them and they'd send you like a catalog or something. And it was so inefficient that I never bothered with it. And
that's because Games Workshop was trying to kill those stores. Another thing that the Games Workshop was doing is that they would starve out shops with their figurines. They were basically doing what Nintendo is doing, which is create artificial scarcity, but their store on the internet was always fully supplied.
Yeah, they always had full stock, but for some reason all those other stores, we just never have stock. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, and they would basically bullshit.
That pissed the shit out of General a while ago, actually. I think that's what they did to him, is he tried to order through his local store, and they were fucking with the supply on him.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, that's basically Games Workshop for you. There's a shit ton of that kind of bullshit around. They also Games Workshop also involved themselves into copyright theft. Basically, they stole copyrighted materials like aliens, like elves, dwarves, and so on.
We had a huge discussion about this the other day, and at first our friend was going, I see no evil, see no evil, see no evil. And then he opened up the book, the very first books himself, because he owns them all. And he went, wow, Okay, never mind.
That is so aliens.
That is aliens, yeah.
Basically, gene sealers are aliens.
I mean,
From
the whole plot of the original Space Hulk was aliens.
pretty much. There's so and then every other company that is trying to do like space combat, like army, role playing games, stuff like
Yeah,
that,
they get shut down.
DMCA's, yes, cease and desist, DMCA's, copyright, everything.
Because any of you that know miniatures knows that they've been going after third-party manufacturers for years, trying to stop the flow of knockoff Games Workshop figures. And as usual, they swing their hammer, they duck, the target ducks under, figures out a way around it, and then continues on course until Games Workshop gets so angry that they just discontinue the figures. They have literally discontinued figures just because they didn't have a model yet third parties did. They've done it like 3 times. There was like a Tyranid structure that they had to pull because someone made a miniature for it before they did.
Yeah, it's actually quite amazing in the ways that Games Workshop works like a cartel.
And the cream of the crop here is that every single Warhammer property is based on either Tolkien hardcore, like ripping heavily from Tolkien's books.
I think they even have the ring.
Dwarves, all that. But as in, they call the humans men. They have Balrogs that use whips and swords. Like I
think they even have rings.
I think they probably even have rings of power. Like the original Warhammer fantasy books were very heavily lifting from the Tolkien works. And again, this is past, they lifted the races. This is, they had to look through the books and lift.
To be fair, you cannot just copyright, I have dwarfs, right?
No, you can't.
You cannot copyright. Dwarfs are not copyrightable things.
No.
However, if you had a dwarf named so-and-so, and he had these specific characteristics about him, that is copyrightable, right? And to be fair to Games Workshop, these are all allegations. These haven't been proven yet. But if you get into the history of the Games Workshop, you will find an amazing story of betrayals and backstabs and basically a criminal novel you could write around Games Workshop doings. And I'm sure it's going to be amazing.
Well, it goes to show that this is all going to fall back on them eventually. I mean, the whole point of killing off fantasy was to create a line of copyrightable fantasy races.
Yeah.
That's why none of the new Sigmar stuff acts like traditional fantasy things. They're all blends and mixes of various concepts. Like the new dwarves are steam pirates. The new elves are like hybrid treant people. The humans are space marines. Like it's
I understand.
It's quite shit, actually. But yeah, so they're getting sued by a Florida dude for 62 point something million, and I
don't know if this is going to be a class action lawsuit.
Here's the funny thing: it's technically not a class action, as far as I know. However, the money is going to be allocated in a similar fashion to a class action. He's not keeping the money. He's going to disperse it to stores all around the country. That's what I read in one article.
Yeah, and that would be cool.
And that's great. That's
mhm.
great.
I don't know if he has legally, at least, a leg to stand on,
Oh,
because
he
a lot of
does.
it might be true that Games Workshop did a lot of bad things. I don't know how many of those bad things. I'm sure that the things that they did, like repeatedly, there's definitely something there.
Right.
But the original, like the fact that Games Workshop stole from Aliens or from Tolkien and so on and so forth, uh, that much I don't know, because it might be a statute of limitations of some of that. Because Games Workshop is working from the 70s. It's like 40 years ago it happened. So it might basically be past due date.
Well,
But
yeah.
the rest,
I mean, we're gonna move on, but this is something that Games Workshop has been stewing for a while. However, they do have some defenses in that they have been shifting heavily under new management. So it's possible that they might erode the standing to sue, and that's going to be interesting.
And before we continue, I wanted to also mention the fact that the Games Workshop was exploiting a particular flaw of the law, whether it be American or European or whatever, is the fact that law itself, they can bully you as a big company, because they know that if you sue them, they can just prolong the process as long as they can, and you will run out of money faster than they will.
Right.
And that's a very big problem with corporations, because they feel practically above the law in many different occasions.
Absolutely.
And government really needs to step in and get down on that, because a lot of corporations are doing illegal stuff, and they know that it's illegal. They do it anyway because they know no one will sue them, because they don't have the money to do so.
That's true. Speaking of shameless rips, a game called Deadhold is going to be entering early access soon, and it calls itself a new kind of RTS, but it's really just a remake of Myth. Myth was a game from the 90s by Bungie, before they went off to become Bungie.
Oh yeah, many nightmares were had over that Myth game.
Myth was a fantastic fantasy RTS where you were given the units you were given and had to make tactical decisions in order to destroy the dead menace that was pouring over the land. And so many RTS concepts can thank Myth for existing, because Myth introduced the concept of characters throwing projectiles that do AoE damage to friend and foe. It introduced the concept of ganging up on big old monsters. It introduced all sorts of adventure RTS concepts that,
and the
just
most of all,
around.
they introduced an entire series of units that have strengths and weaknesses, and forced you to do tactical decision, including making sacrifices and capitalizing on those sacrifices in order to win, at least within the single player confine.
Yeah. Well, the
because you
multiplayer
were very
for
limited.
Myth never really caught on because that was the day of modems.
Yes.
I'm sure if Myth was to like come out now and was just like, you know, better than it was but otherwise the same, you know, like high def and all that, people would multiplayer the shit out of that. It would be intense, because that's the kind of game that I think would really legitimize the RTS genre. But the thing with Deadhold is it's myth. It's got big monsters.
It's got spiritual successor to myth.
It's got groups of stuff. It's got a little imp that's obviously just the dwarf from myth.
There's nothing wrong in being a ripoff as long as you are a good game.
I mean, when it comes out, I'm gonna see if I can get it and play it, and if I like it, I like it. But it's myth. Like, they're pretending like it's something different, and they're saying, oh, it's similar to such games as Myth and Dawn of War 2, combined with items, loot, and leveling found in action RPGs. And I'm like, oh boy.
Everything has RPG elements and leveling in, because that's the...
I mean, to be fair, it's a fantasy game. I accept it for fantasy games.
Yeah, but my problem with this is not the fact whether it is in fantasy or whatever. My problem with RPG mechanics is the fact that and the fact that every game has it is because it's blatant capitalization on psychological effects on humans. They want to create engagement by increasing numbers.
Yeah.
And if you learn that and you start seeing it everywhere, and it's pissing you off because you know why it's there. It's there so that they can keep you in and milk you for more money.
Well, my favorite thing about Flash games that have RPG elements, which is just code for filling out a tree, is if they ever have a limit on how many talents you can pick, there's always some kid going, I want to max out everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so, unfortunately, a lot of people listen to that kid. They go, it doesn't, specialization's a myth. We should just max out everything. And so you're a lot of people just plug this shit in without paying attention. It really, really grinds my gears.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to move on to Conan Exiles. They just introduced the, well, actually, it's coming out in a couple days. No segue this time. We're just going right into it. A frozen northern area. It's got like mammoths and shit and cold mechanics.
Is it really called like frozen northern area?
It's like called the Frozen North or something.
Really? That's the name they're going with? God.
It's fucking Conan. What do you expect a barbarian to call landmarks? This is the sepulchre of humanity.
Well...
Oh, that is the star the brilliant ancestors' tears.
I was looking for something a little bit more imaginative.
No, it's like Frozen Reach or something. As in the most generic cold place name ever.
Yeah, they actually might have went with Cold Place.
Yeah.
At least there would be no prepositions there.
So there's going to be like temperature mechanics, and there's like they're patching in this like story adventure thing where I guess you like what I'm assuming it's a World of Warcrafty type deal where you go to NPCs, you do quests, you go to the next NPC, you do quests, you get rewards. I don't know. Nice. That's what it kind of looked like. We'll see. I mean, I don't have Conan Exiles yet, but I tend to follow the dev streams because I'm kind of interested in it.
Yeah, Conan is a cool game.
I mean,
however, it's very stressful, so it's not for everyone.
Well, it's really stressful because you actually have to whack timers in it a little bit.
Yeah, and you have to compete with other players. The competition part is kind of enforced in the game.
Yeah, it's heavily implied in Conan that you're just supposed to just fight everyone you see. And it's really frustrating because at the same coin, there's a lot of teamwork-based mechanics like cooperative building. So on one hand, they want you to go psycho. On the other hand, they want you to play strategic, and you never really know who to trust. That's why I talked about the trust thing with Foxhole and why I like it, because you can at least trust the people that are on your side.
Yes. The same goes with like Horde and Alliance and Dark Side and Light Side of the Force. Basically, the games that are like Red and Blue Team in Team Fortress. Basically, all the games that do the you can have a variety of characters, but there are like two teams, and it's okay to fight the other team, and it's okay to cooperate with your own team.
Right. That's why I like Foxhole, because you see a guy in your uniform with the green name, and you go, okay, I can trust that guy to shoot at people if he sees them, and he's going to try and better the war effort in some way. And so, and then you spawn at HQ, and there's like 20 people going, can a truck come pick us up? And the thing is, everyone tells you not to run anywhere in Foxhole, but you really should. You're supposed to run to a town hall, set it as your spawn point, and then from there, you don't have to give a fuck. But anyways, continuing on. So, amiibos are these little statues that you plug them into things and they do things.
Yes, these are the little statues that have like RFID on this on the bottom of them. They are incredibly cheap. Like they are like 50 cents to produce,
right?
But are sold like for 20 to $60.
Right. And it's ridiculous. It's caused a market. It's caused people to freak out. And the latest in the amiibo bloodbath that has been filling our fine streets is the new Metroid game is going to be locking a difficulty mode behind the Fusion amiibo in the new set.
No. It's not the Fusion amiibo. It's I believe, the Metroid amiibo.
Well, that's what I mean. It's the Metroid Fusion amiibo. That's the one you told me it was.
Yeah, it's the It's called the Metroid amiibo, but it unlocks the Fusion mode.
Oh, it unlocks Fusion difficulty, because it has the regular difficulties, but there's a magical fourth difficulty that you have to own the amiibo for.
No, that's the third difficulty. There's the standard difficulty, hard difficulty, and then the amiibo difficulty.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So it's basically a content. So all of you Metroid fans, I would like to inform you that the content from your new game is going to be cut. It's going to be locked out behind a figurine that you're not going to get.
Back in my day, Nintendo, when you had to buy DLC, you had to buy it on the Steam store.
And Nintendo is adamant about the fact that it's not going to be available as a DLC.
Yeah, they keep doubling down. So
you guys are fucked. And everyone who wants to finish the game 100% is also fucked.
No, I'm serious. Why do you own a Wii at this point? Anyone? Like, if this is the way that console is going, do you really want to be on that ship?
Yeah, it's not just Wii or Nintendo Switch, I think it's the new one, or Nintendo DS, all of those. Nintendo is becoming more and more anti-consumer. They are already anti-gamer, because they do not want you to do Let's Plays, they do not want you to advertise their game for free, they do not want you to talk about the game, nothing. You are supposed to buy the game, play it, and throw it away, and then buy the next one. That's it. That's all the extent of your involvement with the Nintendo should be, according to Nintendo. Yeah. If you try to be a fan, then you are fucked, because they're going to pursue you and they're going to sue you. They hate you.
They want to stab your dog.
No, seriously. Nintendo is going after...
No, seriously? They're going to kill your dog?
Yeah. If they could, they would. They're Japanese.
Yeah, just one morning you're gonna wake up and there's just a fine silk cloth, and it's your dog's head.
Yeah, and on your desk is a dog's soup.
And there's this really cryptic note in Japanese, and you're like, what the fuck does this say? They're getting a little too into it.
Yes. And an amiibo.
Well, no, it's an advertisement for an amiibo.
Yeah.
So, on into answers that no one wanted.
We might actually get our first copyright strike because we are talking about Nintendo.
That's what they're gonna write on the strike, and they're gonna do it anyway. Is talk about
Yeah.
Nintendo.
Yeah, I'm sure they're going to slap us with some sort of copyright and DMCA and cease and desist or whatever.
That's the first rule of YouTube. You do not talk about Nintendo. Second rule of YouTube. You do not talk about Nintendo.
Unless you also really produce in your music, in your sound, a music from the Breaking Chains of Love.
That's rule 3. Anyways,
Yes.
so how do you decide when a random encounter happens? This is a DM question. Now, the thing is, I was looking through the infinite wisdom that is the Reddit for D&D. Like, Jahith, I told you, someone asked if a weapon that automatically hits for D8 damage is OP.
Yes, it is.
Yes, the answer is yes. Yes, it is.
Straight up.
You can,
the game
and if
is
you don't
balanced.
agree, you can go look it up and then read the 70 other posts of people saying yes.
Why is it OP though?
Well, the reason
I
for
think
this is the reason why I don't even ask for any more information. I just say OP is because armor class is the number that people have to beat to get your AC, and the only case where that is waived is in Magic, because Magic doesn't always shoot a projectile that you can physically dodge like a fireball. So it just hits your saves. So you get a save. You have a mechanism to defend against it.
Mm-hmm.
It would be different if you hit the guy and they had to do a wisdom save or something. That would be different.
There are some like skills that also do that, but they are very rare. And there have a lot of limitations to use them. Yeah.
I mean, that's why Magic Missile is a meme, because it auto hits.
Yes.
So
why a melee weapon is OP if it is auto hit?
Well, because it'll be the only weapon in the game that you can just look at someone and go, all right, I do damage to you. And so it's just a game of monitoring your own HP, and that's just boring. That's why that's not in the game.
Yes. There are the entire game, Dungeons and Dragons, at least from the moment I believe that I played, the oldest version was 3.5. They Dungeons and Dragons is balanced around the core statistics, amongst which is AC, and fucking with those mechanics makes basically fucks the balance of the entire game.
Yeah.
In introducing like weapons and items that change those statistics also messes up with the mechanics.
Absolutely.
And that basically makes the game not fun.
Mm-hmm.
Because suddenly you can automatically one hit every minion. You can on a D8 you on average do 4 hit points of damage. So I believe in 2 rounds or 4 rounds,
it's a magical weapon. It might even have a bonus, and then you get your modifiers. So you're gonna kill like normal people in a hit.
Yeah. there's not much that it cannot kill, and there's a lot of enemies that have not that much HP, but they have high AC, which pushes the players to use some abilities to reduce the enemy's AC.
Yeah,
Like, I believe
so
there
the
are
existence
slows
of that
there.
weapon is just kind of a weakness against almost any late game creature, and it's really just not worth entertaining that idea. But the question here is, how do you decide when a random encounter happens? He's a first time DM, he hasn't played yet, not sure what's a good way to decide when a random encounter happens. And so I've heard, because the books have their own theory on it, and the thing about the books is they focus on charts and rolls and on whatever, and and it's recommended that every day of travel you roll a encounter roll.
Mm-hmm.
And this encounter isn't necessarily a combat encounter.
Mm-hmm. It might be like, oh, you find a friendly mage who's going to help you. Oh, you find a caravan, you can resupply there. Oh, you find this or find that. Oh, you found a deck of many things. What are you going to do with it?
Yeah, so random encounter isn't, it's popularly thought of to always be monsters, but it's actually not always monsters.
Mm-hmm.
It can sometimes be cool stuff.
Yeah, it's called random encounter.
So if you're really big on making your own zones and areas, don't even look at the Wizards of the Coast charts. Just just grab what monsters you think you're going to use, put them in a chart. If you're using a small amount of monsters, then what you might do is monsters, when you get this roll, they're going to do this thing. When they do this roll, they're going to do this thing. So even though you're going to have a high chance of running into them, they're not always going to be doing the same thing. So it kind of mixes it up.
Mm-hmm.
So
I would say that you want to starve your players a little bit. You want to throw as many encounters at them to make them struggle for their life, but not enough to kill them. That way, you can keep the tensions high and make the game fun.
Right.
And doing this will also help you judge how much your players can actually withstand, and will give you a little bit more experience in terms of being a game master.
Right. Because that's why the low-level Horde of Goblins encounter is so time-honored. Because it throws a lot of low hit point, relatively high damage characters at a party, and they have to figure out how they want to handle the encounter. Are they going to run off by themselves? Are they going to stay together? And that tells you a lot about how these people operate, because the thing about the goblins is, of course, they have bows, so they're not all going to run in melee range.
Yeah.
And then there might be a goblin boss, and then that's more confusing, and so on and so forth. But yeah, it also depends on if you're in an area where there's a lot of monsters. If you're like storming a castle, then you're going to look for a higher number when you roll for your random encounter. Because I've heard 13, I think 16 is what some people have said. The book has its own number you're looking for, and I don't look at that. Honestly, it's one of those rolls where you should start at 10 and then add modifiers in your head.
Yeah, basically winging it.
Because the thing about random encounters is if you can reliably tell your chances of getting a random encounter, it's not a random encounter now, is it? Gotta keep them guessing.
Pretty much.
It's the Larity way. So that is our episode. Thank you very much for potentially listening to Depths of Gaming. Bye-bye.
See ya, comrades!